Hi everyone, and welcome to my talk, Nullish in Chains. I'm very excited to be part of JsPoland conference. As you might have guessed from the title, I'm a huge rock fan. My work playlist includes Metallica, Rammstein, Alice in Chains, Chris Cornell, and more. Back in 2018, I went to Alice in Chains concert. I know that now it seems like ancient history, but I really hope that in the near future, we will get a chance to see them live on stage again, and not via Zoom or any other platform. I'm a senior software engineer at AppsFlyer, and in my not-so-free time, I study psychology. But enough about me. Let's get started. Today I'm going to talk about ECMAScript and tell you why I think it is important to keep up to date with the latest specification. I will show you features that were added in ECMAScript 2020 and give you a glimpse into the future of ECMAScript, of course, not yours. Throughout the presentation, there will be QRs. You can scan them and they will take you directly to the website relevant for the slide. Let's dive in. Ekma. Can anyone guess what Ekma stands for? Ekma is the European Computer Manufacturer Association. Basically, it is the organization responsible for standards for information and communication systems. Ekma 262 is the ECMAScript language specification. So, if we want to propose a new feature, is there somebody I can talk to? Is there a committee or something like that? Well, there is. It is called TC39, which is the committee responsible for the ECMAScript specification. They manage all the requests, proposal, notes, tests, etc. on their GitHub page. By the way, you can also join as a member, and you will get the chance to add code, improve the documentation, propose a feature, and more. Just think about how great it will be if a feature you proposed will be featured in the next ECMAScript specification. Let's see their website. I mean, their GitHub page. So you can see in their GitHub page that they have different repository. You can see proposal, agenda, notes, and everything related to ECMAScript is documented via GitHub repositories. Let's go back to our slides. So what is the process of adding a new feature to ECMAScript? Let's take a look. There are 5 stages of feature proposal. Like array in computer science, they start with stage 0. This is the straw person stage, which means you give input to the committee. The next stage is the proposal itself. You make a case to tell the committee why you think this feature will be a great fit for the next ECMAScript specification. You try and think about and identify potential challenges and describe the solution in general. The next stage is the draft. You precisely describe the syntax and semantic of the feature. Then, you refine the feature by getting feedback from user and the committee. And if you reach the final stage by June of the current year, your feature will be featured in the next ECMAScript specification. So, congratulations. So after a feature is added to ECMAScript, how can I check if my browser or Node version support this feature? Well, there is ECMAScript Compatibility table website. You can see here all the feature added in ECMAScript and see whether or not your browser supports the feature. Let's see the website itself. We can see that the website has several tabs. This one is for ES5, the next is for ES6. As the ES6 included so many features, it gets its own tab. And the feature added from 2016 and above are bunched together in this one tab. You can see here that the features are separated by the year they were added. You can see that this is a link that will, if you click on it, will redirect you to the relevant GitHub page. If you see the MDN icon, you can also click on it and it will redirect you to the MDN documentation for that feature. And it's really comfortable to see all the feature by ECMAScript specification version. And also, you can view candidates, features, and features that are in different phases of the proposal, and track them here and see which browser and which node version support them or not. Let's get back to our slides. So, what if you check the compatibility table and your browser or environment doesn't support the new feature? Don't worry, we have Bubble to the rescue. Bubble will convert ECMAScript 2015 and above code into compatible JS code for older browser or environments. Basically, it will transform the syntax and polyfill features that are not supported in your target environment. By the way, Bubble can also be used to implement new feature, and thus it helps the TC39 committee get feedback on new proposed features. Let's move on to talk about why it is so important to keep up to date with the latest ECMAScript. One of the main reasons is that new added feature might remove your need for a third-party library. You might get a chance to remove unnecessary dependencies. Why is it good? Because that way you can decrease your bundle size. Just think about how much we used to use Lodash in the past, but ever since those functionality were added to JavaScript, we no longer need to use map filter or find index provided by Lodash, and we can decrease our bundle size and improve the performance of our product. Think about in case in which you work at a company that has legacy code. You can improve the bundle size and reduce it by going over the code and replace places in which you use the functionality of Lodash with the native JavaScript functionality. Let's see another example of Lodash versus native JavaScript. Let's talk about flattening an array. So Lodash provides support for flattening an array since 2012. And it kept adding support for different functionality like flatten deep, which recursively flattens the array. And later on, it added flatten depth, which recursively flattens the array up until the given depth. So now, ever since ECMAScript 2019, flat was also added to the native JavaScript. So no need for Lodash anymore for that specific functionality. You can go ahead and replace Lodash's flatten with the native JavaScript flat feature. Let's move on and talk about another reason it is good to keep up to date with the latest ECMAScript version. New feature might provide a way to make your code cleaner and more readable. Let's take a look at an example. So back in 2019, we used this regular chaining, right? And if we take a look at an object and we try to access the property street within office address, we will get an error. Why? Because Freddy Krueger doesn't have an office address. It doesn't work. He only hunts us at night in our nightmares. So if we were to write this code, we will get this annoying, well-familiar error. Type error, cannot read property street of an undefined. So in order to avoid this type error, we used to write this long line of code. But now, in 2020, we don't need to do that anymore. Why? Because in ECMAScript 2020, there is a new fun feature called optional chaining. Look how cleaner the code is and how short the line is. So basically, what it does is prevent us from getting this type error. It allows us to try and access a property within an object. And if for some reason we get undefined along the way and the chain is broken, we won't get this annoying type error. We will just get undefined. It is much more readable and cleaner. Let's take a look at another feature added in 2020, the Nullish coalescing operator, which we can use in cases that we want to set a default value only if the original value is either null or undefined. But in other cases, we want to keep the value as it is. For example, if we want to set a toggle to on or off depending on a property called love rock music that we get from the server, only if, and we want to set it to, by default, to true, meaning to on, only in cases when we get null or undefined for the server, we need to use the nullish coalescing operator. Because if we were to use the logical OR, we would get some unexpected behavior. Why? Think about a situation in which the server returns false. In that case, if we use the logical OR, the toggle will be set to on, because it will take the default value. Let's take a look at the Nullish GitHub page. So I told you that TC39 manage all the proposal in GitHub. This is the GitHub page for the Nullish coalescing operator. You can see the status of the feature, which is stage 4, meaning it is already included in ECMAScript 2020. You can see the authors and also read about the overview and motivation behind adding this feature. It's really interesting to read all that. You can see that if you were to use logical OR, in cases where you have either empty string 0, false, you will also get the default value. But if you want to set the default value only for null and undefined, you should really use the nullish coalescing operator to avoid unexpected and unwanted behaviors. Let's go back to our slide. Let's see a glimpse for the future of the future, Well, we talked about the Nullish coalescing operator. So in 2021, there is a new feature in town called logical assignment. This is the logical Nullish assignment, which will assign the value on the right to the variable only if its current value is either null or undefined. Yeah, you obviously guessed it. By the way, if you want to search for an operator and read more and see documentation and examples, go ahead and visit Josh Kamel's operator Lookup website. You can scan the QR and it will take you directly to his website. He recently tweeted about it, and I will show you in just a bit the website itself. Let's go over here, and this is the website. You can either type and search for the operator, or you can take a look and click in one of those. So this is the Nullish coalescing operator. We can see here an explanation, and we can also see examples of use case. So take a look at this website. It is really cool. And follow him on Twitter. Let's get back to our slides. Another feature that was added in 2020 is Big Int. It allows you to represent whole numbers that are larger than max integer. And additional feature is PromiseAllSettle. Well, we are all familiar with promise race and PromiseAll, and 2020 introduced this new PromiseAllSettle. It returns a promise that resolves after all the given promises have either fulfilled or rejected. We can see in this example that the first promise is resolved, while the other one is rejected. But PromiseAllSettle will wait for both of them, and the output will be fulfilled and rejected. And if we are already talking about promise, let's take a look at the future of promise in 2021. A new feature is about to be added to the ECMAScript specification called PromiseAny. Basically, as soon as one of the promises is fulfilled, it will return a single promise with the value from that promise. But if all the promises are rejected, it will return a promise that it is rejected and aggregate all the errors in one object. You can scan this QR and you will get more information about this proposed feature. So that is about it. Let's see what we covered today. We talked about ECMAScript in a nutshell and why it is important to keep up to date with the latest ECMAScript specification. We saw some ECMAScript 2020 features, and hopefully you will use it in your code. And we saw a glimpse to the future. Hopefully you will keep up to date with the latest ECMAScript, as you now understand the beneficial of it, and keep on rocking. Thank you very much for joining this talk, and you can reach me in either via Twitter or in my LinkedIn page. Feel free to reach out and have a wonderful weekend. Thank you.